Good morning. How is everybody doing this morning? I'm going to give just a minute for folks to join in and for me to get set up. Looks like we're live. Scoot up a little bit. My name is Valerie, and I am one of the yoga teachers with Bounding Soul. Danielle and I share this class, alternating teaching on different Tuesdays. Sorry, I am teaching from home, just like you guys are practicing from home. And I've got a dog over there, and my daughter's doing school. So sometimes we might hear a little bit of noise. I'm just leaning in so I can see. This is a gentle class for all levels. And when we had this class in person on Tuesdays at St. James, we had about half the class that were in chairs and half were on mats, so lots of different levels. I know that's the same case for those of you at home. So even though I don't really have the setup here to demo in a chair and on the mat, that's what I would do teaching live, I do try to give cues for that. So if you're not able, for whatever reason, to be on the floor, you can be in a chair. So your sits bones are flat. So a chair is a little better than the sofa, but if the sofa is what you got, maybe come up to the edge so you can be flat and not having to lean forward. And feet on the floor if you're seated. And then those of us that are on the mat, you can sit with legs crossed. Excuse me, guys. If that's not comfortable, tuck a couple of pillows up underneath your hips. If this is sort of where your edge is naturally when you're seated, tuck pillows or towels or something up under there so that can be relaxed. And of course, at any time you can straighten your legs, shake them out, shift however you need to. That's always an invitation in our in-person classes, and definitely at home. Modify for what feels best for your body. And you can always, if you have a question, drop it in the comments. It might take a minute for me to see it because I'm about, 5 or 6 feet away from the laptop. But we're going to be working with the breath today. We're always working with the breath, but we're going to be a little more intentional and coming into a few different types of breath today. I'll stop talking in a minute to get started, but I just did want to mention that then we'll be coming back to the breath throughout the practice as a way to, maybe as an entry into meditation, as a way to work with centering and grounding. It's pretty stressful times for a lot of different reasons right now, and there are a lot of things that we can't control, right? And there are a lot of things that we can, and the breath is one of them, right? Like our breath, our bodies, our reactions to things are all within our control. So we'll be working with that a little. So, speaking of breath, let's get into it. Let's go ahead and take a few breaths, breathing in through the nostrils and out through the mouth for the first few. In through the nostrils, out through the mouth. One more. Then we're going to transition to breathing in through the nostrils and also out through the nostrils. So if that breath is new to you, it may take a little practice. So if you feel like it is causing you to hold your breath or be uncomfortable, you can pause and come back to that. But that's just going to be breathing in through the nostrils, allowing the breath to come through the neck, the chest, into the ribs and belly. And then exhale also through the nostrils so the air comes right back up. So we'll do that breath maybe for a minute or so. And as you're getting more comfortable with that breath, allowing each inhale to bring you more fully into your body, into the space where you are for this next 40-45 minutes. Just knowing you can release the laundry, the other things going on in your home, the other things going on in your mind. Maybe just using this time to scan the body a little bit, noticing whatever there is to notice. Making those observations with kindness. And comments. And then before we come into any, our first sort of guided breath, let's do a little neck and shoulder roll so we can relax a little more into that breath. So inhaling. As you exhale, releasing the chin towards the chest. Drawing the right ear to right shoulder. Back through center, left ear to left shoulder. So when we're in person, I always mention this, when we're in person and teaching in class, I do what's called mirroring. Meaning I go to the same direction as you do, even though I'm saying a different side. For these videos, I'm saying the side that I'm going to, so you can choose. You can mirror me or just use the cues, but the most important thing is to always go to both sides. And coming back to center, slowly lifting the chin, lifting the head, inhaling, shoulders up towards the ears. Ooh, I got a little crackles there. Inhaling up, exhaling down. And inhale up, exhale forward. Really squeezing, making this an activated movement. So these classes are live, but they stay in the video section of the Bounty and Soul Facebook page, so you can always come back to them. We're going to inhale the shoulders up and exhale with an audible, kind of a little more forceful exhale through the mouth. So inhale up, exhale, so 4 more. One more. Nice. All right, so we're going to come into our first kind of intentional breath. And this breath is really simple. I like the ones that are simple and easy to remember. We're going to inhale for a count of 4 and exhale for a count of 8. So the idea there is your inhaling and your exhale is twice as long. If 4 and 8 feel like too long, you can adjust to 3 and 6, or if you want to make it longer, 5 and 10, your choice. But I'm going to count us out for 4 and 8. And I'm going to set up my timer, so I've got a timer for some of these other breaths that we're doing. Okay. All right, so we're going to inhale for 4 through the nostrils. Exhale also through the nostrils for 8. Inhale for 4. Exhale for 8. Remember, you can adjust up or down. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. 20 more seconds. I'm going to let you guys count it out yourself. Last round. All right. So timer can be a great tool when you're doing this breath work or when you're meditating. And when I'm working with clients and students around meditating or intentional breath work like that, you don't have to start off with 20 minutes or an hour. You can start off with just a minute and then work your way up to 3 minutes, 5 minutes, 7 minutes, or just working in those smaller amounts throughout the day. So nothing wrong with that. All right, so let's do a little of sun breath, inhaling up, exhaling, hands to heart center, inhaling up, exhaling. Inhaling the arms up, exhale, stretch to one side. Opposite side. And inhaling up, we're going to come into a twist. So inhaling the arms up, exhale, twisting to the right. So left hand comes to the outside of the right knee, straight spine. Inhale, expand the belly, exhale, drawing the belly in, twisting any bit more, maybe looking over the right shoulder. Inhaling back to center, exhale, twisting to the opposite side. Right hand comes to the left knee. So if you guys are in a chair, you're doing this exact same thing. Feet are on the floor. Your right hand will come to the outside of your left knee or thigh. Looking back perhaps over the left shoulder if that feels okay for your neck. And inhaling back to center. Exhaling, hands to heart center. So when I'm leaning forward like this, you guys, I'm just looking at the monitor. So we're going to come into some cat-cows. For folks on your mat, go ahead and come on to hands and knees. For seated folks, I'm going to demo, and then I'll join you guys on hands and knees. Seated folks, your feet are on the floor. You still have a straight spine. Sits bones even on your chair, and your hands could be on your thighs or on your knees, and you're going to inhale as you come forward with the chin and the chest. Exhale, chin towards the chest. Inhale forward, exhale back. So folks on the mat, you guys are on hands and knees. Try not to knock anything over. All right. So hands and knees, we're going hands directly beneath the shoulders. Inhaling, lifting the chin, lifting the tailbone. Exhale, really press the hands into the mat. Inhaling up. So if you have wrist issues and this is uncomfortable, you could fold your mat up, and then you're going to put the palm of your hand kind of on the edge of that mat. That's going to help support the wrist and take a little pressure off. You can also roll a towel up under there. You can also always come onto forearms, or you could come back to that seated version of this. So we're going to add some circular movement, however feels good to you. So seated folks, you can just bring, you're going forward and from one side to the other. Folks on your mat, you might be bending at the elbow like this. Maybe you're coming forward and back around with your circles this way. Just notice what feels good. Coming back to your tabletop. Inhale, and as you exhale, you're going to look back over the left shoulder, squeezing the left shoulder towards the left hip. So you're lengthening all on the right side of the body. Inhale back to center, cat-cow. Maybe a couple for good measure. And then inhale. And as you exhale, you're going to squeeze right shoulder towards the right hip, looking back like you're looking for your back pocket. Inhale to center. Exhale, child's pose. So folks on the floor, your knees can be spread wide or close together. You're coming down, head towards the mat. Seated folks, so your feet are on the floor. You're going to spread your knees a little wider and just come into a forward fold. You can cross your arms. From the head, rest on the forearms. You can have your arms hang down by your side if your head's coming towards your lap. We're going to find a good 5 breaths here. That deep belly breath like we were starting to work with in the beginning. And then slowly coming back up. We're going to all come to seated for another breath work. Another breath exercise. How's everybody doing out there? I know I say this every time, but I really miss getting to see your faces and know how you're doing out there. I know it's hard to comment while we're having class though, so just know that I'm virtually sending love to you guys. All right, so our next breath is called a box breath or 4 square. And the reason it's called that is because we're going to inhale for 4, hold it for 4, exhale for 4, hold it for 4. Okay, so if you're a visual person and you want to picture that square in your mind, equal sides, 4, 4, 4. Again, you could adjust that number. If 4 feels like too much or not enough for you, bump it up, but just make sure it's the same each time. I'm going to count us out for 4. And again, we're going to do this for a minute. I'm setting that timer for a minute just to show us what a minute feels like. If you're going to bring this into your home practice. All right, so we're going to inhale for 4. Hold at the bottom. Exhale. Hold at the bottom. Inhale. Hold in between. Exhale. All these are through your nose. Hold. Inhale. So continuing on at your own pace. Inhaling for 4. Pausing for 4. Exhaling for 4. Pausing for 4. So see if you see and notice how you feel in that pause, right? In that space in between. Oftentimes, especially if this breath is new to you, that's where we really kind of feel a little discomfort or uncertainty maybe not. But if that's new to you, that hanging out in the space in between. All right, and just completing your round. And coming back. All right, so we're going to stay seated. I'm going to move my bolster out of the way though here. And just bringing the soles of the feet together into butterfly pose. So if you are in a chair or on the sofa, edge of your sofa, still bring the soles of your feet together and just let your knees kind of flop out a little bit. So you're still, even seated doing that, you are going to feel that in the inner thighs. And folks that are on the floor, flapping, butterfly wings, that's what we called it in kids yoga. Inhaling here, and then as you exhale, folding forward. So on that initial fold forward, still keeping a straight spine. So for most of us, that probably means not coming super far down initially. Finding the breath. And then if you want to fold forward a little more, releasing the head down towards the feet. So for some of us, that's still going to be up here, and that's going to still be a really big stretch on the inner thighs. Feeling the sits bones and the lower back drawn towards your mat, towards the floor, towards your chair. And then coming up, we're going to turn both knees towards the right. So knees are towards the right. The sole of your right foot's kind of on top of the left thigh. Left foot is behind you. So this is sometimes called deer pose. But before we come into a twist here, just getting comfortable as much as possible. And for seated folks, cross your right leg over your left. And then when we, on the floor, come into our folded twist, seated folks, you're going to twist towards the right. So twisting towards the back of your chair. So folks on the floor, inhaling up. Exhale, we're going to turn hands on the outer edges of each mat. Inhale, and as you exhale, lowering down, we're going to lower down 3 times before we come to rest here. And then the next time, lowering down. Folks that are seated, you have right leg crossed over the left. You're twisting towards the right, and you're just going to hold that twist. You could hold on to the back of your chair. You could hold on to the bottom of your seat, depending on what you're seated on, whatever you like. And folks that are coming into this twist, you could have a pillow or block or something to rest on, or come all the way down to the floor. You can make this a deeper twist by turning your head behind you, or a gentle twist by going forward. Already did a workout this morning, so I'm going for the gentle one today. 2 more breaths here. Grounding the palms, coming back up. As we switch sides, we're going to extend the legs out long in front of you for folks on the floor, and just shake it out. Seated folks, same thing. Just shake it out. Actually, let's do a little ankle stretches while we're here. So we're going to flex the feet and point the toes. Flex the feet, point the toes. Perspective on the self-filming here with your laptop is interesting, isn't it? And then let's make some circles. The feet, I hear a little crackling. All right, so we're going to switch sides. So that means knees are going to the left. If we're on the floor, sole of the left foot on top of the right knee or thigh, right foot behind you. So pause here before we come into the twist and allow that right leg to feel really heavy, straight spine. Seated folks, you're going to have your right foot stays on the floor, cross the left over the right, and you're going to twist to the left. All right, for those of us here, though, inhaling up, exhale, turning towards your mat, turning towards the top of your mat, or bottom, however, depending on how you look at it, right? Inhale, and as you exhale, lower down. Inhale up. Exhale, lower down. Inhale up. And the next time that you lower down, coming to rest on the forearms, on the floor, on a bolster, pillow, towel, whatever you got. And we're going to find about 5 breaths here. Remember, you guys can pop in with a question. If anything I say isn't clear or you can't really see, give me a shout. You can also follow up sending a private message to the Bounty and Soul page if you have feedback or questions. One more breath. Really let yourself relax fully into the floor, the mat, your bolster, the twist itself. Grounding down, coming out. Seated folks, you're uncrossing your legs, coming back to seated. And coming to another breathing exercise. So all of these, all the breathing exercises that we're working with, you could incorporate, use as a tool in meditation, especially if you're starting a meditation practice. But you can also just do them on their own or mixing with the practice. But this one, and we'll do a couple other ones that are involving words or mantra. So the idea with this one is, as you are breathing in, you're saying to yourself a word. So breathing in, and I'll just give some examples. So you might say something like breathing in love, breathing out fear, breathing in peace, breathing out anger. So just using what resonates with you. What resonates with you is always going to be better than You know, could be better than what I'm suggesting for sure. So if there's a word that works for you, and you can also breathe in the same thing. So say you want to breathe in love, but you also want to be sending love out. Um, you can do it that way as well. So it's really a way for our mind, right, to have something to focus on while we're working with the breath, because that can be one of the biggest challenges when we're starting, or even when we've been meditating for a long time, right? It's just for the mind to have something to focus on besides like all the things, right? The laundry, the groceries, the politics of the world, right? Okay, so have in mind what your word or words are. And I'm going to set a timer. So remember, you're breathing in and you're saying this. You could say it out loud if you want, or in your head, but breathing in, fill in the blank, breathing out, fill in the blank. I'm going to start us for a minute. I'm just going to do mine silently with you. You can have eyes closed or softly open if that's more comfortable for you. I usually like having my eyes closed. Again, for me, that just helps to tune out what's around me. And if you guys want to later, you could share in the comments what you were breathing in and out. Some inspiration for other folks. I'm breathing in love and I'm breathing out judgment. Just to share mine. Judgment to others and judgment for self. 5 more seconds. And then just releasing your attention to that breath. So we're gonna do a little time check, you guys. So we're coming to last part of class here for some hip openers, and we'll be pausing still for some breathing exercises or pranayama. So we're gonna, those of us on the floor, we're gonna come onto forearms. So coming onto your knees and your forearms. For folks that are not coming onto the mat for whatever reason, your modification is to have your forearms on a chair. It could also be on a sofa, but if there's anything you can use as a flat surface that's sturdy, that's gonna just give you a little more balance than a sofa if it's really cushy. But if a sofa is what you got, then that is fine. Work with that. Not a problem. I'm going to pull this up so I have a little support for my knees here. So making any adjustments that you need. So again, we're on our knees for folks on the floor, coming onto the forearms. And wherever you are, you're going to want to have a space to your left and right, because we're going to be swinging our legs out to the left and right. So that's what I'm doing here, making sure I've got room. So make sure you've got room. And make sure I don't knock anything over behind me as well. All right, so coming onto forearms, tailbone is lifted. And we're going to start off by stepping, we're going to step the left foot back. Make sure I've got enough room. And just gently rocking back and forth. So a calf stretch first. You guys get to see the top of my head, these weird camera angles, right? So now we're going to lift that left foot up. Inhale, and as you exhale, we're extending that left foot out to the side. Okay, sole of the left foot's on the floor. So if you're holding tension in your shoulders here, see if you can release some or extend some pressure into the palms of the hands, the fingertips, the forearms, so the shoulders aren't taking the brunt. So remember, you could do this with your forearms on a chair. Your tailbone's lifted, your right foot's on the floor. You lift the left foot up and extend the left foot out to the side. And then inhale, coming back to center. Exhale, this time we're crossing the left foot over. So left foot has crossed over to the right side. This time toes are curled under. Lift the tailbone up. Again, make any adjustments so the shoulders aren't taking all of the brunt here. Press down through the forearms. Press through the palms and fingertips. And breathe into your lower back and hips. Inhale back to center. And let's come into a child's pose in between sides. So child's pose, remember, knees can be together or spread wide. And seated folks, knees can be together or spread wide. Seated folks, you're going to fold forward and cross the arms, perhaps as the head rests on the forearms or the head rests on the lap. So 3 more breaths here. Coming back up. Coming back onto the forearms. So this time we're switching legs. So for me, that's right leg extended, gently rocking back and forth. Inhale, lifting that back leg. Exhale, extending that leg out to the right. The sole of the right foot is flat towards the floor, or that's where you're moving towards. Lifting the tailbone. Lift the tailbone up here. Think about the inside, the inner thigh of that right extended leg, rotating up and back. Inhaling to center. Exhale, cross that leg over. Toes curled under. Lower that right hip towards the floor. Spread the weight out on the forearms, the palms, the fingertips, and breathe. Inhale back to center. Exhale. Coming through a child's pose if you want. We're going to meet back and seated for our next round of breath work. You want to come through a child's pose or a cat-cow first, feel free to do that. I'm taking a quick look at the comments and grabbing my timer. All right. Doing okay on time. So I mentioned earlier, there's several reasons I felt called to really work on these, on breath work today, on pranayama, because it's a tool, right? It's a tool that we have, that we all have, and that's free, that we can use to help regulate our nervous system. And I don't know about you guys, but these days, more than others, this time of year, like we mentioned before, we're coming up on the election. No matter where you are in terms of politics, I think that can be stressful. We're coming up on a full moon. We're 8 months into this pandemic, and as I mentioned before, there's so many things that might feel out of control. So knowing that there are places where we do have control, and really ultimately, our own selves is really all we can control. So the more we can come back to that, like when we're feeling that pull towards wanting to control something external, coming back to the breath, right? Back to the breath. So we're going to do 2 here before we come onto our back for a little more hip opener and then Shavasana. So similar to our last exercise, we're going to inhale, and as we inhale, we're silently saying the word Sat, and as we exhale, silently saying the word Nam. So Sat Nam is a mantra from Kundalini Yoga, translating roughly into true self. So again, coming back, right? Coming back to our true self, coming into alignment with our true self through the breath. So again, inhale, mentally repeating Sat. Exhale, mentally saying Nam. And we'll start our timer. Inhaling Sat. Exhaling Nam. Inhaling Sat. Exhaling Nam. And then you guys continuing on. So again, because you're by yourself at home, if it helps you to say it out loud, you could. You don't have to do a certain count here, but maybe just noticing what your natural length of your inhale and exhale is, noticing that space in between as you mentally say sat on the inhale, nam on the exhale. 15 more seconds. Releasing that breath. Let's maybe do a little neck or shoulder roll in between these two if you like. If you were holding any tension, just looking to see who's out there, if anybody has questions. Okay, so for the next round, we are going to, I've done this before in a class, one of these classes, but it's been a little while. So we're going to use that same mantra, Sat Nam, and in this case, we're breaking it down into syllables. And as we say those syllables, we're also coming through with mudras, or hand movements. So we're breaking it down into Sa, Ta, Na, and Ma. So it's going to go Sa, Ta, Na, Ma. Sa is the index finger, Ta, Na, Ma. And it's a little bit sing-songy. We'll go through a few rounds. If you don't want to say the words out loud, you can say it in your head. I think I'm going to do it out loud just so you have an example of that. But again, if you're doing this on your own, you can do it out loud or in your head. It's something kids love doing this, especially the singing part often. But it's also something that you could do, you know, like without people really knowing what you're doing with the finger movements. You could still do that and folks not see if you were wanting to do that somewhere where you're feeling anxious. All right. So for this sing-songy version, it goes like this. Satanama, 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 Satanama. And then we're just going to repeat. Satanama, 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 Satanama. Eyes can be open or closed. Satanama, 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 Satanama. 20 more seconds. Satanama, 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 Satanama. And then just pausing, noticing what there is to notice. Inhaling fully, exhaling through the mouth. So both of those, using that mantra, Sat Nam, true self. Really good for centering, coming back to self. And then we're going to come on to our backs for those of us on the mat. If you're seated, staying seated for this. Time check. Okay. All right, so coming on to our back. There. Just my blanket. Actually, I'm going to do that. All right, so let's draw both knees into the chest first. Gently rock to side. Folks, if you're seated, spread the knees wide and just allow the knees to fall from one side to the other. And then extending the left leg long, right knee is drawn into the chest. Adjusting your props. Okay, so pausing here, relaxing the shoulders. Maybe let's point and flex the right foot. making circles as well. And then we're going to make circles with the hip. So the knee, moving the knee in circles in one direction and then in the other. So if you're seated, you can draw the right knee into the chest, just like we're doing here. Left foot stays on the floor. And making circles or just rocking back and forth. And then we're going to bend the left leg, bring the right ankle to the left knee. So seated folks, your left foot stays on the floor. And same thing, you're going to bring the right ankle to the top of the left knee. You might stay right here, or you can needle through, drawing the knee towards the chest. Seated folks, similar movement, your ankles on the knee, your palms are facing up, but you're coming forward. So folks on the floor, we're drawing the knee towards the chest. Seated folks, you're drawing the chest towards the knees. So 3 more breaths. So folks on the floor, releasing the left foot to the floor, extending the arms out to the side. Inhale, and as you exhale, allowing that right foot to come across the body, turning the head to the right. So you just come into a twist. If you want to add a little to the twist, take the left hand reaches down for the right ankle, right arm goes overhead. Seated folks, you can stay with your right ankle on your left knee and turn towards the right. Or you could stay in that forward fold, or you could put both feet to the floor and shake it out side to side. Coming back up. I'm switching sides just so I can see a little better. You guys don't have to turn around. You're going to bring your left ankle to rest on the right knee. This time, I'm pausing there for a moment. That may be where you want to stay if your hips are feeling really tight today. Or you can needle through underneath the knee or in front of the knee. Keep your shoulders relaxed. Remember, seated folks, similar move, except instead of drawing your knees towards the chest, you're folding the upper body towards the knees, top of the thighs. You'll still feel it seated. You're still going to feel that in your hips, down your IT band. And then releasing the right foot to the floor, extending the arms out to the side. Seated folks, you still have your left ankle on your right knee. You're just twisting towards the left. Folks on the floor, we're reaching down towards the left ankle, extending left arm overhead. This is a stretch all on the left side of the body. It's one of my favorite side stretches, really. So it stretches all along the ribs, all the way into the hip, and all the way down along the IT band. Couple more breaths. And then coming back to center. Little time check. Maybe rocking, drawing the knees towards the chest, gently rocking from side to side. And then releasing the legs long. We're coming into Shavasana. So folks that are in a chair, just finding a comfortable seat where your back is supported, where your feet are on the floor. Folks on the floor, you can extend the legs long. You could put a little pillow or a bolster or something underneath the knees, if that would feel good. And then just for a minute before you come to just fully release here, I invite you to come back to a few rounds, maybe 5 rounds, say, of whatever breath really resonated with you today. So just a reminder, we did the 4-8 breath. We did the 4 square breath. That was 4 inhale, 4 hold, 4 exhale, 4 hold. We did inhale a word, exhale a word or feeling. We did inhale sat, exhale nam, and we did the sa ta nama. So just choosing one of those if you like. Just for a few rounds. And then as you're ready, you can release your attention to that breath. Release any counting, release any words or mantras. Just allowing yourself to be for the next minute or so. I can't reach my lights from here, but if I could, I would turn the lights down. Allowing yourself this gift of intentional stillness, some time to integrate the different movement and breath, the asana and pranayama in our practice. And as you're ready, beginning to find some gentle movement. So if you are enjoying being in Shavasana and you have time, feel free to stay in Shavasana as we wrap up. So stay on your back. Or you can slowly come out of it, as I'll be doing. Maybe stretching overhead, stretching long. As you're ready, you can slowly come onto one side, whichever side feels most supportive. And then slowly pressing into the floor, tuck yourself up. And if you have a bolster or blanket or pillow, anything to sit on, finding that. Mine's scooting away from me. Bring the hands together. Bring the hands to heart center. And if you like, the invitation to just pause here for a moment and gratitude. Gratitude to yourself for showing up, for making this time and space in your day. Gratitude to Bounding Soul for offering these classes, these live classes on the Facebook page. Gratitude to all of those that are part of the markets. The market today is from 11 to 1 at the Bilo on Black Mountain. So all the farmers, all the folks who work in the stores, the many volunteers, the staff. Sending out gratitude to all the hearts and hands involved. And it's in that spirit of gratitude that the light in me honors and sees the light in each of you. Namaste and Sat Nam. Thank you for being here. Danielle will be with you guys next week. And as always, feel free to drop any questions in the comments, or you can send a private message. I hope everyone has a good week.